What's the new era of Etsy?
Okay, so the new era of Etsy. So I guess I should start with talking about maybe a quick history of kind of print on demand and Etsy and where we began as print on demand integrated with Etsy and kind of the new shift that I'm seeing as far as Etsy now with print on demand. So, when print on demand services and software such as Printify and Printful and other companies, they were allowed to integrate with Etsy around, I want to say it is 2017 was when print on demand was first available to be integrated to the Etsy platform. And at that time, I would say around 2017 to like probably the first few years of print on demand integrating, we saw a lot of similar kind of mock up images, a lot of people going into t shirts and more apparel based products, mugs. And over time, the years that followed, the categories of products you could create with print on demand and the services that connected to Etsy that Etsy allowed on its platform started to grow. So, the new era in which I just made a YouTube video on my channel, I was talking about this history and then also what I'm seeing as changes because again, back in the beginning of print on demand and print on demand's history on Etsy, we saw a lot of t-shirts and sweatshirts and apparel. And I think that was the kind of normal on what a lot of people saw their profit from on Etsy. And that's kind of where a lot of big success stories in the beginning days of Etsy really started. But now what I'm seeing as far as like the new era we've stumbled in is different products are selling on Etsy. Also to note, different print methods are selling on Etsy and different product photos. So either, originally taken photos of samples or using different mock-up images that not everyone else is using on the platform. And then also to note with the new era of Etsy we're seeing is prior to these past 2 years, we have seen real life mock-up photos, right? Just like a real model wearing the mock-up image or a real photo taken by a photographer. And we see a lot of mock-up shops on Etsy. Now, due to AI, in the world of AI, which I think is a beautiful place, I love AI so much, but I think one thing that we're seeing run rampant in mock-ups is the use of AI, which is a good and a bad thing. I think some AI mockups can be accurate to how the products look in real life. However, I would say more than not, we're not seeing that accuracy in the colors or the texture of a product. And I think that another part of the new era that we're seeing on the Etsy platform, and I think this is all e-commerce, I wouldn't say it's just maybe Etsy, but I'm just seeing a shift as far as customers. They are very skeptical on what they buy online. I think, we've all been kind of skeptical, but I find that customers are a little bit more skeptical now, knowing the use of AI. And when they see a product online and they see that it's an AI mock-up image, then they're less likely to purchase. And that can cause issues for a lot of Etsy shops who are using those AI mockups. So in this new era of AI, I think taking your own product photos, which is, I know it's tough because it's tough to pay for samples and whatnot. And that's, for me, that was a big, tough part of joining print on demand because I was full-time worker in healthcare. I was working 50 to 60-hour weeks and I was on call between my shifts at work. So it was hard for me to find time between sleeping, between my work schedule to do that. And that was the draw for print on demand. So not to say you have to order samples and take your own product photos, but I think using mock-up photos that not everyone else is using, kind of creating that variety in your product photos and listings is good. I feel like I should maybe stop here and maybe I went off 10 different tangents already. But yeah,
Do
that's
you,
kind of the new era that I'm seeing.
do you think it's a good thing this new area, or this shift that there's more variety, I guess, in listing images and products sold?
I think it's a good thing. I think it's also could be a negative and a drawback for some sellers. So I find that maybe the sellers who have had a lot of success in the past, like a lot of long term print on demand sellers, may find that, oh no, why are my listings dropping in views, visibility, and traffic? I think that for the newer sellers coming in, this is a good thing because it's like, okay, now I'm learning these new techniques and these new ways to start and grow on Etsy. So, they may have an easier chance at seeing that quote unquote ranking on the Etsy algorithm. I know it's not necessarily ranking, but it's, the way that the Etsy algorithm is denoting the listing quality scores and pulling you up in the algorithm to get more visibility, whether that be on the homepage, related listing section, or the search itself. So when it comes to if it's good or bad, as far as good things for any new sellers, I think this is a really great opportunity to go into new product types. It's a really beautiful opportunity and moment. And lately, I have been just researching trends. And I mean, that's what I do, for YouTube, right? That's what I do every week, every month. I'm looking at trends, I'm looking at listings. And I typically, when I'm looking at listings that are ranking on that's the algorithm and they're coming up in search and they're going to the top of search, I'm seeing actually a lot of new listings under 6 months that are coming up, and they are getting over 50 sales a month, over 100 sales a month for just one listing out of, a lot of these sellers have hundreds of listings in their Etsy shops. And that's not the only listing that's doing well for them, but it's really nice to see those new shops and new listings coming up because that's a really good sign for people who are looking to enter into the Etsy market right now. I think another downside, however, is ordering your own samples and taking your own photos and knowing how to take those photos, because a lot of us don't come from photography backgrounds, so to speak. I know I don't, and I do YouTube, and I feel like, I've learned through YouTube how to take videos, so I think that's kind of the new learning curve for a lot of people if they want to enter into the market. I think for different print methods, so if you're selling embroidery, you can create that embroidered effect through Photoshop or, use of AI. However, what I would recommend is if you're selling embroidery, ordering samples is going to be your best product photo by far, even if it's poor lighting, to be quite honest. I've seen some listings on Etsy, really not good product photos, but it looks real. And that's what a lot of customers go to Etsy for. A lot of customers are going to Etsy to support the small business, and I know that's different than, selling on Amazon or Shopify. A lot of customers, when they go to Amazon, Shopify, they expect that maybe a white background or professional photo. But on Etsy, I think that the customer base, they're going to Etsy for that handmade mom and pop shop type of look. And so taking your own product photos, even if it's poor lighting, it's still going to do better, perhaps, slightly better than a mock-up photo that looks AI like. So that's kind of what I'm seeing as far as shifts. But I think it's really good for anyone entering the market and who's looking to explore. And, even to say that t-shirts and sweatshirts and apparel are still doing really well on Etsy. But again, if you're going into the market in 2025, what I recommend is doing embroidery. I think embroidery is going to be, when I look at the just the Etsy algorithm and looking at the top t-shirts and apparel that's selling right now, most of the current popular now listings are embroidered products. They're not the regular direct to garment printing method that print on demand typically is. If you sell on Printify or Printful, Printful, given they do have, I think you're on Printful as well, right, Philip?
I do. Yeah, I'm
And
on that.
they have, I saw just recently, they have like almost the screen printing method or some type of new method. It's more of a vibrant print now for
Okay.
their t-shirts. I feel like I should know this.
I might have missed that. I don't log into it too often, but
Yeah, I feel like I just ordered a sample because I'm trying the different print methods in my new Etsy shop. So now I'm pulling it up on my second screen to hear
fine.
DTF printing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's the printing that's more vibrant. So that's what I would recommend is maybe opting for different styles of printing too. But embroidery on Printful is just so beautiful. I have been, I would say, using Printify for the longest time. And recently I've been switching slowly over to Printful a little bit just because I think that the embroidery application is much easier and I think their prints come out really nice. But I know since Printify and Printful integrated, they're kind of like using the same. But I think the application on Printify, at least the most recent version, and this could change in the future, but it's not as
Intuitive.
intuitive. Yeah,
Yeah.
intuitive is a good word for that. So that's what at least I've noticed. But yeah, embroidery all the way for 2025. That's kind of the new era that I'm seeing is that new print method. And I know that's tougher to take the sample photos, but I think it's going to go a long way for sellers. It's going to be that extra effort that can get you farther on Etsy's algorithm and get more sales. So
And it has a reputation of being more of a premium printing method. So I know it costs more to print, of course, but you also have more reason than to kind of charge a premium price to the customer. And I think most people realize that and respect that if you're
yeah.
using embroidery. So since you do a lot of research, then what are some other predictions of like trending niches for this summer then, besides embroidery?
Yeah, so I'm seeing a lot of the cottage core trend, and I know that typically starts to trend in springtime, but it does go to late summer and even fall. And what I'm noticing is more of the micro niches, the smaller niches underneath the cottage core niche. And I found with the searches and search trends right now, and even researching, I like to go on Pinterest a lot to research and see kind of what's trending on there and what maybe people are searching a lot. And what I'm seeing is new sub niches, if you will, of cottagecore. So, dark cottagecore. That's one where it's kind of the moths and like black background or dark, like black designs instead of more of the white and pastel shades that you see typically for cottagecore. As far as other niches I'm seeing trending outside of that, there is the forest core niche. So, kind of, have you heard of these
No,
before? Oh,
I know cottage core, but I've not heard of forest core.
yeah, forest core. It's like, it's basically the gosh, again, I'm so bad with definitions, but the last time I looked it up, because there's like a cottage core Wikipedia I found in
Okay.
this is how I learned all of this, because I was like, what is this? Forest core is basically the appreciation of nature and trees and animals that are in nature. So, like raccoons, and I know that goes into another sub niche, which is the raccoon core niche, which people just love raccoons. And
Yeah.
that's more of an evergreen niche, I would say. Like it's going to sell all year round because that's just it's a funny trend, but it's on like Reddit, it's on Pinterest. It's kind of I would say, a online type of trend for maybe the newer generations coming in that are becoming customers right now. And even teens, like they just love anything core. That's what I'm noticing.
Yeah.
And the other ones that I've seen on top of that is like fairy core, which is kind of again, it's
It's like
people.
the other direction to dark core almost. It's like
Yeah.
a spectrum, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, fairies and different mythical unicorns, and it's really a lot of the artwork that's been selling is maybe vintage line drawing of castles and in pink colors or lighter purple colors, kind of going with that fairy tale aesthetic and folklore in a way. But I would say folklore almost goes into the dark cottage core themes. The other one that I'm seeing, there's so many within this. There's goblin core as well. Have you heard of goblin core?
I think I have, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love goblin core. I made a video on this because it's one of my favorites. It's the appreciation of kind of the more grotesque elements in nature. So almost like toads and frogs and insects. And it's really, it sounds funny, but all of the t-shirts I've seen, like you'll see like a funny frog with like a funny quote, kind of like I'm overstimulated, and there's a frog in a cowboy costume and he has and he's just like it's just cute frog art basically, and it's just so funny. It's like a punny niche that I'm seeing on Etsy, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon, or at least I'm going to try to keep it up because I love it so much. And then outside of that, the last niche that I'm seeing as a trend, that's actually coming from TikTok, is the book lover trend, which or niche. I know that's been around. We've seen it on Etsy long term, but the book lover niche is really coming back up, and I think that's due to some recent book releases. As far as on TikTok, the book talk area, a lot of people have been really into I believe it's the Fourth Wing series
Yeah,
of books.
I've seen people trying to rip off the like the graphics from that book on Amazon.
Yes.
So yeah, do more
Yes.
general book stuff, not copying the Fourth Wing series.
Yes, exactly. I was going to say that too. Thank you for mentioning that, because I think that's a big thing to say is try to be careful of any infringement. But I have seen, people selling like dragons on tote bags. They're not writing, of course, the actual book they're referencing. It's just, book lover niche. That's in the SEO, the title, the tags, but they just have a dragon on a tote bag as an example, a dragon in books or something like that, rather than, saying or infringing on the author.
Just to clarify that one, there is like a common dragon. I think that's on the book cover. I wouldn't copy that exact dragon, but yeah,
Yes.
like generally a dragon with books that doesn't belong to the book, right? That's not IP infringement. So
Yep.
if you see a very specific silhouette that's selling over and over again, that's probably the one from the book. Or just Google it and you'll see the reference of what we're talking about.
Yes. Yes.
Interesting. So I was almost expecting that to be called book core as well, because it
Oh,
seems like
yeah.
anything that's trending is like the word plus core now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think, I read this book, called Instabrain. Have you ever read the book Instabrain?
No, no.
It's a really good book talking about the differences between for marketing and I would say it's more based in social media marketing, but I think it really opened my eyes up to that every generation has different. It's kind of like talking about customer avatars and knowing your customer and knowing the demographic of the customers that are coming in as new customers and new waves of customers that we see on platforms in total. And in the book, she was talking about the difference between like Gen Z versus Gen Alpha and millennials and so on. And I found it really fascinating because she was talking about that, that first off, most like Gen Z millennials actually have multiple social media accounts, but also what they're searching for is drastically different between each generation, right? So that's what I think of with all of these new cores coming in is it's like a new kind of term for, and I feel out of it now. Like I felt like I was in, like this just me feeling, I don't feel old necessarily, but I just feel out of touch with the new generation at times. And I know I'm annoying
Not
to
just
say
you.
that, but the newer generation coming in is basically typing in core for things now, like mom core as an example, like, for new mothers, like it's really cute. I really love it. And I'm trying to use it more in my SEO because that's like the new trend I'm seeing at least. So yeah, that's just side tangent. I do apologize.
That's fine. I totally know what you mean, by the way, because I often see like new niches or words or design styles pop up and like, what on earth is that? Like, it makes no
Yeah.
sense to me, but a lot of people are buying it. And then it turns out it's probably something from TikTok or Gen Z is into it. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, that's probably why you don't get it.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean. So that's it in terms of like niches that are trending. Kind of going back to the whole new era of Etsy, are there also certain products that you've kind of seen come up this year that are trending?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So as far as products I've recently been seeing, so first off, I know I've kind of already touched on this so many times now, but definitely the embroidery anything, which I know it's kind of the same, like it's the same product, t-shirts, apparel. The new products I'm seeing though is hats. So embroidered hats specifically are a big one. Patch hats, I feel like patch hats do well too, but it's more the embroidered hats. And I think we're seeing that in the bachelorette party niche or even the groomsmen and bachelor parties with a lot of guys getting like party favors for their groomsmen of the hats that say maybe groomsman, flower man, fun things like that, or father of groom, father of bride. So we're seeing a lot of that trending. And with the embroidery, that just adds that extra element that we can now use as print on demand sellers. Also, I would say in the summer months, I guess this isn't maybe so new, but I have been hyping this up for the longest time, which is garden flags. And I don't know why, or like the yard flags and the flags you can put outside your home. I have been talking about yard flags for the past 2 years, and I feel like every time I talk about it, it gets. I feel like no one's as excited of yard flags as I am, but it is.
Heather
It's
just really likes flags.
yeah, I think they're so cute. I actually made one as a sample product for one of my videos around October last year of my dog that says like beware extremely cute dog on premises, and I just keep it up all year round, and all my neighbors just love it. They're like, "Oh my goodness," because my dog is just the friendliest dog. Like she will never bite anyone. She just comes up to everyone and asks for pets.
Good guard dog. Anyone who wants to rob the house, you just welcome them.
Yes,
They feel at
exactly.
home.
She's
Yeah.
very welcoming. We love that.
Nice.
But yard flags, I've been seeing them trending. I am telling everyone now, yard flags are a good place to go if you like creating outdoor decor. I know a lot of people, like to do t-shirts and sweatshirts and that, and maybe mugs and things, but, kind of going into I wouldn't say lower saturated because I feel like by the definition of saturation, probably everything's saturated at this point in competition. But again, Etsy, what I've seen on Etsy recently is they're cycling in new listings. So it doesn't matter if you are a new seller and there's 10,000 people to 100,000 other listings, right, in your competition, you can still be cycled up on Etsy. Etsy's looking for those new products to cycle in. And what's really nice with yard flags is it's just a unique product type. Again, a lot of people get bored when I talk about it, so I think not many people go into it. But one of the sellers I've been working with this year, they went from getting, I would say, like 20 to 30 sales a month. And we really went into the yard flag area and category. And from that, they've been able to triple to quadruple their sales. They're at now like over 100 sales a month. And they're seeing over $1,000 of profit every month now from Yard Flags. So
That's really good.
yeah,
I'm guessing they probably make more profit per order as well than T-shirt would, right? I'm guessing. Yard flags.
I would say they're making about $10 a profit
$10.
per Yard
Okay.
Flag, but it is also customized. It's personalized Yard Flag too.
What do people order on them? Because I've never looked at that niche. I'm guessing there's not going to be many like Gen Z that buy a yard flag, right? So
Yeah,
what do people typically get on there?
no, yeah, that's the thing. But a lot of people search on Etsy for yard flags, and that kind of goes with the other thing of the new era of Etsy that I'm seeing, which is due to some, I would say, negative press that Etsy had recently of not being handmade anymore. And I think this has been just like kind of a thing with print on demand and Etsy, which is with print on demand sellers, I feel like print on demand sellers have been kind of the redheaded stepchildren in a way, so to speak, on the Etsy algorithm where Etsy like no print on demand exists, but they just haven't really like owned up to it publicly. You know, there is a person behind every print on demand listing. Like we're all creating our own designs and we're all working really hard on our shops. And there was a CNN news video that came out on YouTube. I think it got like over 1 million views about what's happening to Etsy or something along those lines. And I think it cast a very negative light as if Etsy is almost like Shein and Temu, that it's just only, outsourced dropship products in a way, which I know print on demand is a category of some sort of drop shipping, but it's not the same as just like selling a product that you've never seen or you've never even created one part of that product on Etsy. And that's kind of the light that the CNN video cast on Etsy. And since then, Etsy came out and they made a statement in changing their standards to creativity standards on Etsy. So now I think they finally acknowledged print on demand is on the platform, and also there's digital sellers too. And from that change, Etsy on the back end made some changes in their algorithm. And I've been following the investor reports that come out from Etsy every quarter. And in some of the most recent ones, they've talked about that they're trying to make the search and the search results unique. So what that means is on the search results, they're not trying to have every image look the exact same. So the old way of Etsy, and that was a problem that a lot of customers started, I think there was a distrust that came from a lot of customers probably last year and the year before. And that's why I think CNN made the article or the video about this, because everyone, and not everyone, but like a lot of sellers, and not just print on demand, but handmade alike, because handmade sellers too, I mean, it's hard to pay for a photographer on top of all the fees that you're paying for your inventory. And so handmade and print on demand sellers were using the same mock-up images. So the old Etsy algorithm last year or the year before, when you were on the search, you would see probably, scrolling down, you'd see 10 to 20 of the same mock-up image used and a similar design. And it did look, kind of like, okay, is this all one shop, or, what's going on with Etsy? This all looks like maybe not unique. This doesn't look handmade anymore, right? Or why am I shopping on Etsy when I can go to Amazon or somewhere else, because it's like the same, the Etsy platform and concept was not unique anymore, all this to say. So since that recent change we saw with the algorithm, now that we're seeing unique listings. So Etsy is not going to show a listing. Its AI algorithm is now piecing together listings next to each other that look different, and it's going to be different each row. So what that means for your mock-up images is you don't want to use the same mock-up image everyone else is using, which used to be, I mean, honestly, that was advice I gave. And I will say that, I will be very honest. I gave that advice because it was like, well, that's what Etsy is bringing up in the search. But now it's different. And that's why I made that recent YouTube video, because I wanted people to know that my advice going forward is going to be, okay, don't use the same mock-up image everyone's using. Take your own mock-up photo if you can, or cycle out different mock-up photos to see maybe, this one might do well for your shop instead of one that everyone else is using. So that's kind of just my side tangent there. Sorry, I kind of went over on that question.
No, that's totally fine. I mean, that's an interesting fact there because, yeah, I've heard that advice a lot as well. Use mock-ups that are proven, that other best-selling listings have. So now, I guess with that new change, it would make more sense to try and find a mock-up that not everybody's using, but that still looks good. If you can't take one yourself, there's still a lot of shops, I think, with a lot of variety and a lot of options. It's just that most people tend to skew towards like the top 3 performing ones that everyone uses. How did you get into POD originally?
Yeah, so my story started when I was working in healthcare. I was new blood at the hospital I worked at, so to speak. I was a new hire in, I had about a year into my job. I was working as an MRI technologist, and I just finished college. I just got my first condo, my first mortgage I ever got. And I remember at that time, we actually had in my area, we had one of the first COVID cases. Also, I don't know, is COVID allowed to be said on YouTube still? I feel like,
I think now it's probably fine.
yeah. I was thinking that. Sorry, I didn't want to like accidentally shadow ban the video or anything. But we had one of the first cases in my area, and my hospital was actually one of the first hospitals that was like a trial run hospital for the vaccinations. I was actually one of the first, I want to say like 100 people at my hospital to get the vaccine. So that was really a cool moment. That was a cool, I mean, not, it was terrifying, but it was really great that my hospital had that, because I was, everyone in my hospital was very like, whoa, what's happening? You see the news, you see like, oh, there's only 100 cases in the US. And I'm like, oh, my hospital's one of them. So that was a very spooky time. I remember I would come home from work, and my mom lived with me at the time. And I told my mom, sorry, Mom, like stay in the other room. I'm going to stay in my room. I just don't know like what patients I'm seeing. Just, we're going to keep distance. And I would wear my mask around her because I was like, I don't know. So anyways, during this time I started my Etsy and print on demand business, because during that time radiology departments got cut as far as hours, just to support the nursing staff, which I totally understood at that point. Nurses are very, very vital. They are so important. And they do deserve to get paid more during this time. And that's what hospitals were doing. They were shorting certain departments to give more hours and pay benefits to the nurses who were working double the hours. So I totally understood that. And at that time, I was cut hours. I wasn't laid off. I was very thankful for that. But during that time, I knew I needed to find a new income stream. So I was actually looking on LinkedIn, Indeed. I was looking for a second job, part-time job. And due to the pandemic, I didn't really know if I was going to get a job, because again, it was kind of all over. Places were shortening the like X-ray, CT department, MRI departments, more medical imaging. They were short staffing just to, give hours to the other departments that were vital during that time. So I was also on YouTube, and during this time, maybe since I was searching up LinkedIn and all of that on my phone, I got suggested videos for print on demand and also Amazon. So that's where I was kind of like, oh, Amazon. And there is Amazon FBA. I actually almost bought a course for Amazon, Fulfilled by Amazon. I was like, oh, this sounds amazing. Like, this is great. You can just start, this type of online business like this. And then I came across Etsy and print on demand, and how the barrier to entry was way lower, a lower investment starting point. And I was like, okay, maybe that's more my speed. And my risk tolerance was lower because I was like, okay, I have big bills to pay with my condo and, just adult responsibilities kind of coming in right after college. So I was like, I gotta do what I can without that high of an investment right now. And then also my college loans I was paying back too. So it was just, kind of, this is the best route for me. This is a low investment model. So I decided to try it. I started my shop. I got a few sales actually. I started selling neck gaiters because there was masks on print on demand with like Printful and Printify. You could sell masks, but those went out of stock quite quickly. So I was like, oh, let me be smart and do a different product. So I was like, oh, neck gaiters. Those were considered allowed in certain states, but not allowed in other states and other countries. So, and then after a few months, it was not allowed like for most states. So I found out quick that was probably a bad product type to go into. But anyways, regardless, I sold a few of those, and the print on demand processing and production time was about like 2 to 4 weeks in length. So I decided to put my shop on vacation mode because I realized at that time that reviews were most vital. And that's what I just heard on YouTube. Everyone was saying reviews are most important, and just e-commerce as a whole, reviews are what's going to help your product organically grow. And I was just like, okay, if my processing time's 2 to 4 weeks, that's going to get bad reviews. So I shut down my shop or just put it on vacation mode. I stepped away. And I would say I kept on because I was in a lot of Facebook groups about Etsy and print on demand. And I kept getting re-inspired by the Etsy sellers who stuck in it during the time that I quit. And I started to feel sad because I was like disappointed in myself. And also I got my hours back at work. So I was also like, okay, maybe I'm just meant like, and I always knew like I'm going to be long-term in healthcare. I'm going to work up the ladder of different positions. And I really loved what I did in healthcare. Basically all this to say there was something that I was sad about because I got a taste of entrepreneurship and I was like, I want more of it. I want, even if it's a side hustle, I'm fine with that. So, I reopened my shop in 2021. And I started listing again, and I had no sales until like the last day or two of the month. I was actually about to quit. I was like, okay, I missed my opportunity. I'm too late. Everyone got sales in 2020. Like there was crazy stories about people getting like 40K to 50K months on Etsy from their shop they started just that year in 2020. And I was like, okay, I missed my shot. I'm done for. And so I was feeling very disappointed, very discouraged, and I was about to throw in the towel. Then I got a sale at the end of January 2021, and I just remember that was the one thing that kept me going. And I was like, okay, maybe this is meant to be, because it was an organic sale from a person I don't know. And so I got back into it. I started listing. I created about 400 more listings after that time on my Etsy and print on demand business. I was selling apparel in the professions and occupation niches primarily. And from that, from just listing consistently, I started posting in a few Facebook groups that I was a part of at the time. And I had one day that I got like 20 plus sale day. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then I started asking other Facebook groups. I started joining Facebook groups and asking the admins, hey, can I, share my small business in my shop that I have started? I think that your community would like these products. And so a few of them said yes. I had a lot of people say no. Even with the groups that had like no spam, or like no promotion, self-promotion. So after all this, by month 3, I hit over 100 sales a month. By month 4 and 5, I believe that tripled.
Wow.
Yeah. And then by the end of the year, I hit over 250K in revenue. And that was a gross profit of over $100,000, given that was before taxes. But I
And your first
also,
year, that's
yeah,
solid.
yeah, it was really cool. It was really, really cool because I've never seen that in my whole entire life. I mean, I have two labor workers as parents, and I never saw that amount of money. I thought I would make 100, I thought I would maybe make six figures by the time I was like 60. So that was
A little bit of a
really,
shortcut.
yeah, yeah. I was like, wow, this is incredible. What if I never started? Like, this is, the butterfly effect. Like, what if I never did this? What if my hours were never cut because of the pandemic? Like,
Mm.
and I was grateful, I had a job because I know a lot of people got laid off during that time. But, and I also started a Shopify store during that year too, because I was like, okay, like, I want to try that. And I, I ended up making about, I want to say I had like 50K in revenue in my first Shopify shop. So that year in total, I actually made 122K gross profit with the Shopify store too. But from the Etsy shop, that was about 100K. So that was really cool because I was still working full time in healthcare too. So
Wow.
it was just a really great year. And then yeah, that was kind of just how I got started and where I went. And in that year, I actually got the top 1% seller banner on eRank. eRank, if you integrate your shop, it will like tell you where you are in comparison to other shops. And I kept that status for a few years on Etsy. So that was really cool.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
I'm guessing after that, you probably decided to quit your 9 to 5 or
The
go all
second
in.
year,
Second year.
I ended up moving jobs. I met my husband during that time, so we ended up moving in together. I applied to a job in downtown Chicago, got a job down there, and that's when my Etsy shop really started blowing up too. And I wanted to stay for a year because I didn't want to, like lose my experience, or I just thought that looked bad for a resume if I left within the year. So I stayed a year. Then I went down to part time. I just really love healthcare that I didn't want to quit fully, but then the Etsy shop became too much and I had to quit eventually. And then I started on YouTube too. So I was kind of juggling a lot, but yeah. So I eventually quit and went down, like slowly progressed until I quit and figured out healthcare and paying for healthcare and everything. So
It sounds like the posting in Facebook groups helped you kind of get that initial boost. Is that something you would still recommend to people today? Or generally, what would you say if someone's starting with Etsy today, what should they kind of do at the beginning?
I would, so I would recommend social media. It's a really, really great avenue for getting external traffic into Etsy. I found that Etsy does boost listings that can bring in external traffic on their own. Facebook groups, I still recommend, but I heard ever since I've shared that on YouTube the past few years, I've heard a lot of people email me and comment on my YouTube and say, hey, how did this work back then? Because it's not working now. And I think since I've kind of spread that wealth of knowledge, a lot of Facebook groups are maybe a higher barrier to entry as far as allowing you to post. So it might not be as easy as it once was. That I may recommend going or trying a different route, which could be opening your own Facebook group, right? You could start your own Facebook page, filter that to a group, say, hey, join our Facebook group. I know Facebook has really been pushing organically just original posts or, like punny posts or different posts like that. I know when I go on Facebook now, I'll scroll on my feed and every other post in it, sometimes it's every post is just from random Facebook pages I've never subscribed to or liked. So I think starting at your own Facebook page is the new method I would recommend, and then trying to funnel people into a Facebook group that way, rather than trying to, if you're not having success joining Facebook groups, that's probably going to be your best bet. And then also starting at Instagram. I think Instagram is a very viable option. Pinterest. Pinterest is a really great option too. So I think social media can help a lot. I think, Etsy ads can only go as far as your product and how your products organically grow on Etsy too. So I think social media, and it's also free. So social media is just a really good time investment, in my opinion.
Would you make a page that's specific to the niche you're selling in, or how would
Yes.
you kind of approach the content side of things there? Because I'm assuming some people watching, they would assume, just post screenshots of your t-shirts and that's it.
I would recommend doing niched Facebook pages, and you can have multiple. So that's kind of the really great part about Facebook and even Instagram. You can open up multiple accounts for different niches. So that's my strategy going into 2025 and the future years, is starting Facebook pages primarily only for that niche. So an example is maybe going into the teaching niche, you could post your own t-shirts, or if you have like a punny teacher quote, those are usually very viral and more shareable. And at least you turn on the share like allowed on Facebook, then people will, reshare, and hopefully that will catch on and more people will reshare. But I would recommend mixing in a little bit of maybe video content and then quote content. And a lot of that you can create quite easily through, even like Canva is a really great route to go for social media creation. I really like Canva for the social media posts. But there's Kittl. Kittl has a lot of those features too. And then really there's so many different design softwares you can use, but that's what I personally would recommend to anyone. Just one niche. If it's the teaching niche, do only teacher related content. And with even the use of ChatGPT now, like you could go on ChatGPT and say, hey, create some shareable quotes for teachers for my Facebook page posts that, might be a video post or might be just a standalone post. So
We'll even create the images now quite accurately with the text. So you
yes.
could even like shortcut some of the Canva Kittl, unless you wanted to get very advanced with the graphics. Then you'd have to be very good with your prompting. So it depends what you want to do.
Yeah.
You mentioned AI earlier, actually, that you like it and you use it as well. What are some tools or techniques that are kind of part of your workflow with AI?
Yeah, yeah. ChatGPT is definite. Like, if I have any issues or struggles with phrase creation or just ideas, it's kind of like, okay, ChatGPT, just give me a good idea here. I need something because my brain is just not braining right now. It's not doing its thing. So,
That sounds
ChatGPT.
like a design as well. My brain
Yeah,
is not braining right now.
yeah,
That could probably work.
exactly, exactly. Yeah. So I would recommend ChatGPT just for idea generation, but also, like you said, it creates beautiful images now. And the text-based designs, I mean, given sometimes it's off, but it's been really good. It's been mind-blowing how good it is lately. I've even been using it have you used it for thumbnails yet?
I've tried, but then
Yeah.
it doesn't get the face 100% correct.
I was gonna say,
So part of the thumbnail, yeah, but the faces, not really.
yeah, yeah, it's so funny the faces that it will like recreate you of. Like I was like, who is that? And it looks like us too, right? Like it almost looks like our doppelganger or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, ChatGPT is a really great resource for that. I like Midjourney. I like Midjourney a lot. I do like using Kittl AI just because it's inherent in like I'm someone like expense wise, if it doesn't make sense in your budget to do like multiple, AI softwares and all you can do is one, then maybe like using a software like Kittl that has it inherently in its software, that's great. But I personally do like Midjourney for a lot of my creations. I've been using Midjourney for 2 years now. That's kind of where I go for a lot of my AI creations. I do like Kittl though. When I'm just like on Kittl, it's like, okay, this is convenient. And they also have the ideogram on Kittl now, which is really cool, that you can do the more text-based designs. Playground AI too. I've been just getting into. I do like that.
They do social media templates as well. I think they've got a category for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. If you
Yeah.
want to start up social media, that might make sense.
Yeah. What are your current go-to AI choices?
They do definitely change probably every other month because there's so many updates and changes to them. Right now, probably my main one is ChatGPT, just because it's not just the image generation, but like you said, it's idea generation at the same time. Like it's multiple things in one. Ideogram is awesome for creating t-shirts, but it's not going to help you come up with ideas for t-shirts. So
Yep.
but I also agree in the same sense. If you're starting out, don't like get all of these different subscriptions like we are doing. That we don't need them. Like you don't need all of them. If you're low on budget, something like Kittle, which has lots of different features combined. It has the AI tools like Ideogram built in. It has DALL-E 3 and Flux built in. And at the same time, it has all the like text editing templates, like you used to from Canva. Like it combines a lot of things, and would save you money on subscriptions.
Yep.
And often, like we just use what works best for our scenario. Like you're used to Midjourney because you've been using it for 2 years. If someone's completely new to POD, that might not be the most user friendly thing potentially.
Yep.
Talk to me a bit about your phone case challenge as well that you've been doing.
Yeah, yeah. So in March, I decided to do a 100 listing phone case challenge. One of the reasons being is I wanted to test two theories. The first theory is that you can have a multi-product Etsy shop and have it be successful. The second theory was that you can reactivate a shop from the Etsy grave, so to speak, if you've been inactive on your shop for a little bit. A quick side tangent story is I created a new Etsy shop. So my initial Etsy shop that did the 250K in 1 year, it eventually went on to do over 450K in total. I leaked my own shop on YouTube. And due to that and the copycat culture, so my shop was initially built off of organic traction on
Yeah.
Etsy. So organic traction typically happens from conversion rates and customers continually converting on your shop. And from me leaking my own Etsy shop, a lot of people went to that shop, and my sales started really rapidly declining, and I couldn't figure out why until I looked at how am I getting traffic. And it was through people just searching up my Etsy shop, which, I like being as transparent, authentic, as open as I can on YouTube, but this is the one thing that I have to hide just because it's my income stream, right? And thankfully I was on YouTube because YouTube, I monetize there. I'll be completely candid and open about that, but my shop, my initial income stream cut in half, cut in fourth. And before I knew it, I was just like, okay, everyone's finding me through YouTube, which I love to share as much as I can, but this is my initial income stream. I have to protect it. So basically I had to close that shop, and I reopened a new shop about 2 years ago. I did a 21-day listing challenge, and I got my shop to the point that I was seeing a few $100s of profit a month last year in this Etsy shop. And then I had a mental health episode where I've always struggled just with generalized anxiety and depression and things like that. And I had a really tough go at my journey with that last year. We had a big move. I moved states. I moved a few states away from kind of just my childhood town I grew up in and everything. And I think it hit my nervous system more than I expected. And so I took a mental health break. I was still showing up on YouTube, but it was like, as the best content I could get out with kind of what I was going through. And I decided to take a break in my Etsy shop and just keep posting on YouTube, keep active on there, keep showing up for other people, because that's something that filled my cup. It fills my cup to help others. And so basically I went through that, and I got on medication. I went to therapy, so much better off. I'm so thankful for, what that journey and kind of what I learned and the wisdom I've gained through that. And self-care as an entrepreneur, I think that that's something I learned through that. And now I feel like I've I've grown in that aspect, and I decided to reopen my shop basically after all this long story. So when I reopened my shop and reawakened the shop after putting it on vacation mode, it was dead again because I had it on vacation mode for a few months. And when you do that to your Etsy shop and you come back, sometimes you could get sales again. I'm not trying to scare anyone and say that you're gonna kill your shop by putting it on vacation mode for a few months, but I did do that. And basically, when I came back, my shop was not making profit anymore. It was kind of just, it was stagnant. So this year I was like, okay, I got to make this, work again. So I decided to do the 100 phone case listing challenge and reawaken it. So in the 100 phone case challenge, I did 100 phone case listings, only phone cases. I had apparel mostly in the shop. Prior to that, I sold sweatshirts, t-shirts, and I sold some candles in it, some mugs too. But I reopened the shop and I started listing my phone cases, and I listed 100 phone cases. At first, I was like, oh my gosh, is this really going to work, or like what's going to happen? I don't know, because I don't think I've watched anyone do this before. So I'm kind of experimenting. I'll be my own case study, right?
Yeah.
And so I listed and I kept listing. I do batch creation days. So I'd list probably 10 to 20 listings in a day. And then that would be it each week. In March, I had a goal of 25 listings. So I hit the 25 at the end of each week. And in the first week, I got some favorites on the phone cases. And in the second week, I started to get sales on the phone cases. I started listing. And I actually have, so I counted the amount of sales. So I'm about, I would say, gosh, it's almost 2 months now. Yeah, it's about 2 months we're out since I started the phone case listing challenge at so right now, I guess technically 45 days, sorry. I'm about 45 days since it's May 12th-ish. So 45 days following, I have one listing that has over 20 plus in cart, which is a really good sign for Etsy listing, meaning that, like I've seen 20 plus in cart when my listing's about to become a bestseller. So not to say it's going to become that, but it's a really good sign at this stage.
Yeah.
That one listing has over 7 sales already. So I know it's not like crazy numbers, but like realistic,
It's early days.
Yeah.
It's early days. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've had 41 phone case sales out of my shop sales in the past 2 months. It's been about over 70% of my sales have been phone cases now. So that's really cool to see, because prior to this challenge, I was only hitting I would say on a good month, I hit like 10 sales a month from reawakening it. So over 20 sales is incredible for my new shop. So yeah, it's kind of slowly building, and I'm excited to see kind of what happens of it. I'm still at break even, but right now that's kind of where I'm trying to be, because I'm trying to jumpstart the shop by running higher amounts of ads. It's kind of that bubble of time, because I am on social media, but I'm not using the Facebook group method this time. I'm using Instagram and Pinterest. So I'm slowly building Instagram and Pinterest as well with the new shop. But yeah, that's kind of how it's going right now.
That's really good for 45 days. 41 sales, did you say? So it's almost a sale a day for a lot of new listings, a new product as well that I'm guessing you didn't have much experience with at all, right? That's pretty good.
No, it was really fun doing a new product type. It was really cool to kind of learn how to do the SEO and the titles, the tags and designs. And yeah, it's been real fun.
Are they customized, those ones, the designs, or?
I would say about 10% of them are customized. The ones that have been selling are just as is, sold as is designs. So, yep.
Interesting. Because I was wondering, he can't do embroidery. Like, what's something you can add to a phone case listing?
That's true.
What made you pick phone cases anyway? Is it a random choice, or?
I was seeing a trend for them, and phone cases are just something I've never really went like full in, all in for yet. I've done mugs, I've done candles, I've done sweatshirts, t-shirts. Surprisingly, I talk about yard flags a lot, but I still haven't went into yard flags. Maybe I should do that next.
100 yard flag challenge. Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah. Yard flags are next.
Although the problem is people might not watch the video because, like you said, no
Yeah,
one cares.
I know.
That's always
That's
the downside.
exciting. Yeah, my invisible challenge.
Yeah, well, that's cool. That's really good, like quick success rate. I think most people, as like for reference, I think the majority of new sellers starting out, whether it is Etsy, whether it is Amazon, you don't get those results within the first month or two. Like it's very rare. You're pushing the listings with ads. You've run Etsy shops before, you have some experience. So if you've been doing this for a month or two and you don't have the same results, that's normal. Like when I started out, I didn't get these results that quickly. Like it took me a lot longer than it's taking you now. And yeah, I mean, you started in 2020, which is kind of a little bit different, right? Just to relax the people that are starting out and don't see the same results. I think it's important to note.
Yep.
Do you, because you coach people, right? What do you kind of see from your people with early starters and getting sales going?
I would say it's the same as far as like 3 to 6 months is typical progression of like maybe getting to closer to a 100 sale mark or starting to see that progression of sales. Like you said, it does take time. It also takes consistency. And I think that a lot of sellers, what I've seen, and I guess this is maybe the difference between people who seek out coaching and people who might kind of just do it on their own, which I mean, you can still get the same results either way, right? But I think that sometimes when you get that coaching or like a course or membership or something that's going to help you, it helps you stay more accountable to yourself and your goals in a way. So I find that the sellers I work with who stay in it and stay consistent typically get those results a little bit sooner just because they're being more consistent. So I would say like 3-month range is when people will start to get those first sales, start to kind of see that pickup in traction of maybe like 1 to 2 sales a week. And then since they're consistent, it kind of starts to compound just to that, 3 to 6 month mark. They may start to get one listing that really starts to kind of pick up in traction, maybe 2 or 3 listings. So, but yeah, I totally agree. Again, if you're watching this is someone who's been selling print on demand for 5 years. So I have a research and like a methodology that I do and I practice. And that's what I teach on, YouTube as much as I can, and share. But just know, like, never compare yourselves to others because that's where you kind of fall into the rabbit hole of disappointing yourself when you're doing fantastic in opening up a new business and learning a whole new skill set and a whole new, like you're learning skills of others and other marketers who have went to school for like 4 to 6 years to learn what you're learning in like a month, so.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was very well said and summarized because the thing is with any business model you start, you're going to have that period where you suck and you don't really get many results. And you can learn the skills, they're out there. You can learn them on YouTube, you can learn them through a course if you want it more streamlined. But a big piece to the puzzle is just that accountability and staying dedicated. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle, which is fine. Like it's no strange issue to me either. Like I've lacked accountability with many things, but
Yep.
You need that kind of push at the beginning, I think, or a lot of people need that push, and that's where something like a course or mentorship coaching can help out, and keeping you stick to it. Because if you jump to the next thing, it's going to be the same, right? It's not going to be an instant success in most cases, and you'll have to be dedicated there as well and stay consistent. What do you think is kind of the most important thing or skill to focus on if you're starting out with print on demand? Because there's so many different parts to it. There's doing the research, creating the designs, creating the listings, and I think people kind of flip-flop and they're not sure, like, what should I focus on at the beginning? What's the most important in your opinion?
I would say design and product development. I feel like that's kind of a duo that might be a little bit more vague for me to answer, but I feel like design and product development are first and foremost the most important because it comes down to, does the customer want to buy the product? And if they don't want to buy it, like, you could have the best SEO, the best title tags, you're getting traffic, but if you don't convert, and this is typical for most platforms, is if you don't convert on a platform, every platform is basically measuring your listings over other people's listings. And if your listing's not converting continuously, then it's not going to try to cycle it more in its algorithm. So I think that product development, selecting the product, making sure that it's a product people actually want rather than what you think they want. And then the design too, that the design is good for that specific product. Because again, talking about all of these different products today, you want to make sure that that design kind of hits the target, so to speak, on that product type. And then I think going into product photos and kind of making that perfect package for your listing can be the second skill set to accomplish, is making that perfect package to kind of present to the customer in a way. I think that would be probably the second skill set, but first is that product development.
Totally, yeah. Because you could have an amazing product with barely any marketing or barely any visitors, and it's still going to convert better than a terrible design with a terrible listing, but the best SEO, you're running ads to it. It might pick up the odd sale here and there because of the amount of traffic, but really it's not a good way to build a shop that keeps growing, right? So yeah, that's definitely where I put the focus as well. In terms of like coming up with the design ideas as well, like you were saying, you do phone cases now. I'm guessing that they look quite different to what your t-shirts or sweater designs used to look like, right? So how do you kind of figure out there what are the differences between the products that you're selling?
Yeah. I like to research the market. I feel like this is kind of something, a mantra I say in my head a lot, is it doesn't matter what I like, it's the market that decides. Because I might find a design ugly, but then someone buys it and I'm like, why is it always the design I would not buy myself? And it always is. That was my first bestseller listing on Etsy in 2021. Was a design I wasn't going to post. It was going to stay and remain in my draft folder on my designs, and I posted it, became the bestseller. Same with this listing I have now that's 20 plus in cart. I was kind of like, should I post this? And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to post it.
That's the good sign. If you're not sure, you should probably post it.
Yeah. And that's kind of the market trends that I've been seeing. And I'm very like transparent on my YouTube channel. I mean, I try to kind of keep it quiet into myself. And this is my character flaw in life, is I am far too transparent, is I tend to not keep things to myself that I probably should, because I'm just adding competition to my own market. But I did a tutorial on stained glass phone cases, and that's essentially one of the products that's selling in my shop right now. So if anyone made it to this point in the video, you are welcome.
Reward.
Yeah, stained glass phone cases all the way. But yeah, I've researched the market heavily, and I've looked at different design styles that are selling right now. And stained glass was one. Cottage core that we talked about today, one of them. The Toile types of phone cases, those are selling, like the wallpaper-esque. So basically I kind of research the market, just see what's selling, what are people buying, and then I'll create my own versions, and I'll get creative. Like I will say I have an abstract brain, which is really great for design, because I'm just like all over the place in different types of designs I do, and then I just list them all. I list them all now. That's my rule to myself. If I make it, I list it. So
Might as well, yeah. You can always take it down if it doesn't work.
yep.
How do you do the research? Do you just organically search stuff and look through? Do you have any filtering options or tool that you go to?
So I use the Chrome extension Everbee, typically to just see like what's selling monthly on Etsy. I find like I like other tools. I will say, like, I've used eRank. I've tried Allura a little bit, but I always go back to Everbee, and maybe the other tools now have the Chrome extension, but I've been using Everbee for so long now. It just it's easy. It's what I'm used to. But I like it because it edits Etsy's website when I'm searching. So it will like show me live, like how many sales a listing's getting. And that gives me actual market evidence in a way. That's my proof that, okay, this is selling per month. And I'll see like a listing's only 3 months old, it's getting 50 sales a month. I'm like, okay, this is it. But I typically start organically. So I'll start in the search bar, or I start in the Etsy like gifts section and just look at like the categories on Etsy, and I'll go from that. So I'll start at like tech accessories, go to phone cases, and then I'll look at what Etsy's suggesting me first. I'll also go on a private browser too, just to make it so it's not a historical data pull that Etsy typically does. That's why if anyone tries to like search organically on Etsy, you'll get like mock-up images, and it's like, I don't want mock-up images. I want the real thing. So, but yeah, that's kind of my search method.
Nice, nice. Where can people learn more from you if they want to hear more of what you're teaching?
Yeah. So Heather Studio on YouTube. I also have a free Etsy and print on demand crash course if anyone wants like A to Z, how to start your Etsy shop, integrate it to Printify, Printful, what have you, and also create a listing. I also have a bunch of tutorials on YouTube, but I think a lot of people have a lot of questions on like, I don't know what I don't know to start. And that's why I made that free crash course, just because it answers that portion of like, if you're hesitant in starting, that's basically the course I have
Is
instead
that
of like,
is that
yeah.
under your email, or is it like a video format?
So it's a video format. You do have to sign up for email because I send it via email to people. But I do have YouTube videos. I just think sometimes the YouTube videos can overwhelm people. So I made the course for that reason too. But yeah, YouTube, I'm on Instagram, but I feel like I barely post. I'm like short form platforms. I'm just bad about posting. YouTube, probably best place. Heather Studio at YouTube. So
Okay, cool. I'll put the link to that, the links to those in the description. I'll just put your email as well for people who want that.
yeah, thank you.
And yeah, thanks a ton for coming on and sharing all of your knowledge with us and all of the examples.
Yeah, thanks for having me.